In the previous few videos, I went over parent function, horizontal translation, vertical translation. Now I'm getting ready to do stretch and compression. But before I do, turn to the very back flap where you have this on the bottom, and you'll see you have this little table in here. So I want to just point out some of the things that we have already done. I'm going to get closer. Okay, so right here we have a minus h on the inside of the absolute value. So I want to make sure that you see where it is, not what it is. So here, this is on the inside of the absolute value. Okay, so H stands for horizontal, and horizontal is either going to be left or right, and it is going to be in the opposite direction of the sign you see. So I'm going to write opposite direction of the sign. Okay. And then the next one we looked at was this one. So if you notice with this one, we have a plus k. So that plus k is on the outside. So let's take note of that. That this here is on the outside of the absolute value. And on the outside, it's going to give you the vertical translation, which means it's either going to be up or down. And it has the same direction of the sign. Okay. So there's two other possible things that can happen. Actually, there's three, but one of them we don't study in regular Algebra 2. So notice on this one I have a minus being multiplied to the front of the absolute value, and here I have some number a multiplied in front of the absolute value. In this video, we're going to look at what does it happen when we multiply some number in front of the absolute value. And that brings us to stretch and compression. So let's open this up. Let's look at a stretch or compression. So again, the parent function, I can tell what the parent function is to this because it's just the basic bare minimum that I need. So in this case, absolute value. So I'm going to say the parent function is the absolute value of x. So, what's happening here? Am I having anything being added or subtracted on the inside of the absolute value? The answer is no. So that's a 0. Nothing is happening on the inside of the absolute value to the x. Is anything being added or subtracted to the absolute value here? The answer is no. So that means nothing is happening there. So now I can get what my vertex is. Remember, this is my HK, also my XY. It's a special XY called HK, but my vertex is 0, 0. So whatever is here is going to come here. So from the previous video, we learned that we could get the axis of symmetry by simply looking at whatever the x value is for my function. So here is going to be x equals 0 because the vertex, the x value, is 0. So we can say it did not go left or right, it did not go up or down. But something is happening here, so let's figure out what's going on. So we're going to go ahead and graph the function. So let's go to our calculator. I still have what I had in there before. I'm going to clear that. And I'm going to go to math, number, absolute value of x. So when I graph it, it's going to look like, oh, that looks just like the parent function. But don't be fooled. Let's go ahead and go to my table. So we're going to plot some values here. I cannot plot -6, 12 because 12 is not represented on my graph. But I can plot -5, 10. So -5, 10 is right here. And then I have -4, 8. So we can already see that my points are kind of skipping each other. And then I have -3, 6. And I have -2, 4. And I have -1, 2. And then I have 0, 0. And then I have 1, 2. And then I have 2, 4. And I just have the mirrored image on the other side. Okay, so what happened to my function? When I compare that to my parent, it got skinny, didn't it? It got skinnier. So if you take anything and you stretch it, it gets skinnier. So this one here is a stretch. So you can see it's reaching up, it's stretching up. So this is a vertical stretch, it's stretching up, and it's stretching up by how much? It's stretching up by 2. So how did I get that? Well, right here, this number 2 is telling me how much of a stretch it actually is. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that 2. If it's multiplied in the front, it is giving me a stretch. So again, I'm going to, the key word here is a number being multiplied to the absolute value. Okay? So that gives us a stretch. In the next video, we're going to look at what happens if I have some number like 1/2. We're going to see something slightly different happens.